the secret water zone while working on the drain. Lend the princess a hand in the mushroom land. Join the action with the plumbers, you'll be hooked on the brothers. Now, Evil Koopa and his troopers are up to misbehaving. They kidnapped the princess, mushroom land needs saving. Abusing and confusing, everybody discovers they can't help but be hooked on the brothers.
Welcome back to the Couch Commandos. I'll be your host today. My name is Keith Hayward. I am the host of the Couch Command podcast on popgeeks.com. You can also now find us on YouTube at Couch Command Podcast. On YouTube. Thanks to my Padawan. I'm not sure if he wants his name given out yet, but we have him to thank. We're now on YouTube. Look us up at Couch Command Unlimited. Today I have with me the Lobster Magnet review guy, Isaac.
Hey, thanks for having me to discuss today's topic. I'm very much excited to talk about something that I think is near and dear to all of us.
Indeed. And also we have MJ.
It's me! Thanks for having me back.
And as he's indicating, we're doing a versus of 1993 Super Mario Brothers with 2023 Super Mario Brothers. So we're going to compare, contrast, and giggle at the two. So, I think the best place to start is like your relationship with Super Mario Brothers. Like, where did it start and where does it sit with you, Isaac? What is Mario Brothers to you?
Mario Brothers is, I'd say, as powerful and unique as Mickey Mouse. I have a long relationship. It was the first video game I ever played. I remember when I was like maybe 5 years old, getting an old NES Nintendo as like a Hanukkah present and playing it and watching my dad play and like intentionally running the Goomba to like watch him get further in the level. So Mario's been there forever, from the original Mario to the Super Mario World, which I was always super impressed with and amazed by how much content there was. It just seemed like this incredible expansive thing. And then the like era that killed the 2D pixel art, Mario 64, which brought in 3D. Mario is just like this evergreen brand that like Nintendo is super protective of. They're always super defensive of, and for good reason. When a new Mario game comes out, it's an event. They don't fuck around with the the big league Mario stuff, like the Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario Odyssey. Like they're the only AAA platformer that exists at all. So. It's always a good time to play a Mario game. It's always filled with wonder, excitement, and adventure. And I think there's a reason why he stands up. I think there's a reason why you can walk around in public with a Mario shirt and not be embarrassed versus a Sonic the Hedgehog shirt.
MJ, where does your journey with Mario begin?
I just have to ask first. You've been embarrassed wearing a Sonic shirt in public?
Yeah,
I have not, but I'm just saying, like, if I put a gun to your head and forced you to wear one in public, which one would you pick?
Well, that kind of dovetails right in what I was about to say, because, given my aforementioned lack of being a big-time gamer, I guess I'm probably the least qualified of the three of us to be talking about this, because I'm not as invested in the Mario franchise as pretty much 90% of the people I know. I played the first game when my parents got the NES console back in '86, and played about 5 or 6 levels. Like, okay, this is kind of neat. But then I started playing Duck Hunt more. I played Smash Brothers a couple times at friends' houses, probably about 20 years ago. But other than that, I've really never really been that invested in the video game. Most of my Mario culture has been through osmosis through all my friends, because my friends always played Smash Brothers, Mario Kart. Super Mario's 1, 2, 3, 64, all that stuff. So I just heard about it and people talking about it, but I've never actually got into it myself too much.
My is a weird one. So my connection starts with as far back as the Atari 2600 with playing Donkey Kong. And the excitement of seeing him get that hammer, and then, oh my god, now it's on. And then like me just like running around the house with this like one hammer with a green green top on it, running around the house pretending I'm Mario. So that's my beginning with him. And then there was like this Saturday morning Supercade show that had a version of Mario versus Donkey Kong. And then throughout time, then there's Crash. And then to my grand surprise, Super Mario, he's back in the NES. And that pretty much knocked me out of playing Super Mario Brothers games for pretty much decades. My heart and mind cannot handle the stress of a platformer. So me and my friends would play Super Mario Brothers every so often, but oftentimes most of my Super Mario Brothers video game experience is watching other people play it because it's beautiful. I love the iconography, the character designs. I think they're amazing. They take my imagination, it makes me fly. But just getting all those little jumps and stuff are just too stressful for me. So that's my video game connection. And
to corroborate on that, watching other people play in large groups, the games, especially like Smash Brothers back in the day, they get involved with it. It was quite entertaining to watch people play those games.
The last Mario Brothers game that I really got into was this GBA RPG that a podcaster named Gaming Steve was just raving about. And I have to say, he was right. It was amazing.
Superstar Saga? Yeah.
That's it. I mean, I got plans to go back to finishing that game because I had a great to that. It's beautiful. But yeah,
yes, some of the Mario RPGs are really fantastic. Like Superstar Saga is really good. Another one that's really fantastic is Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. A lot of them are like really enjoyable experiences.
What is your experience with the 1993 Super Mario Bros. Movie? MJ, when was the first time you saw it? What'd you think?
Never seen it until the last couple weeks, and I watched both the theatrical version and the really hard to make it through cobbled together Morton cut. I'm amazed that even was branded Super Mario Brothers because it was so freaking weird even for 1993. I dig it just for how weird it was because it's obviously riding off the wave of the super weird borderline gothic aesthetic that Tim Burton popularized with the 1989 Batman that kind of spilled over into the majority of the 90s, and just the outright weird vector they took to adapting the story of the game and the characters to this movie. And doing some research on it after I did watch it, finding out that it was supposed to be way darker than it was on screen just blew my mind. But yeah, I can see how it was labeled as the worst movie back then because everybody was expecting kid stuff, a video game, and they got that.
Yeah,
so it was a trip to watch.
It is so weird just because, like, aesthetically, it looks like this dystopian, cyberpunk, horrible, miserable place. Like everyone's running around crazy. People have like eggs in their basket. They're hyper-evolved dinosaurs. There's just anarchy in the streets. There's a fungus that takes everything over that looks absolutely disgusting, like it came out of like something H.R. Giger made. It is just this gross, grimy, horrible universe, but it has this like really goofy kids story playing out, and I don't know. It's like someone got the set of Alien and decided like, hey, let's run Who Framed Roger Rabbit through it. Let's make the next Disney. Let's make the Goonies and the set of Blade Runner. We've got all this shit. Let's go.
Yeah, and I thought the meteor strike was rather specific, that it just tore through a hole to another dimension and just created a new Manhattan there, and it left the rest of the planet as a big desert. Like, that's really oddly specific.
I know Hatton. Yeah. Would you say that's your take on it? And should I go next on like Lobster? Was that your take on your experience with experiencing? Yeah, when did you first experience Super Mario Brothers, the 1993 version?
I don't think I saw it in theaters. I think I watched it because I was like a little child and demanded Mario Brothers, and
Awesome.
I enjoyed the Super Show, and I watched it on VHS tapes. But I think I enjoyed it for like the little slight morsels, like, oh, they said Yoshi, oh, they look like the Mario Brothers. I don't think I enjoyed it for as a movie. I think I was mostly kind of like baffled and weirded out, and just sort of like, all right, this is all we got. Beggars can't be choosers. This is what they chose to have be the Mario Brothers movie, but I'm just gonna put it up with it. The whole thing, it reminds me of like the Bryan Singer X-Men, where it's like ashamed of what it is. Mm-hmm. It doesn't want to be like cartoony and colorful. I also think it's really fucking weird. The whole time when I was watching it, I was like, holy shit. The beginning and the end follows the 2023 movie perfectly. Yes,
they do. You're right.
It's
going through the portal.
They go through the portal and then they go back into the real world. And don't they have like a finale where they go back into the real world as well? And they're like, yes. The Super Mario Brothers saved the dimension, and let's just take on this like earth-shattering coincidence, like it's just the next day news.
And the crappy work fan that keeps breaking down at the beginning. Yeah. They even got down to that detail.
They even had the broken down van, and then we're problems in Brooklyn, yeah.
I do give them credit for including the Mario rap from the Super Show. That was pretty cool in the new movie. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I laughed out loud with that. I didn't think they'd actually put that in the actual movie, so that was pretty cool.
Keith, are you gonna like defend this movie? For some reason, I like the whole thing. I was wondering, what's Keith gonna say? Is he gonna say this is a misunderstood masterpiece? Is he gonna try and pull a Suicide Squad for this?
Make no apologies for Suicide Squad. Okay, no. I'm not gonna go crazy. I will say that it does deserve credit for creativity, but I saw this in the theater.
Nice.
Me and my buddy Paul went, dropped off by our parents. And like we were just, I barely remember like coming out of it, but we were just kind of like stunned, like yeah, and like we're trying really hard, saying, yeah, it's like Mario Brothers where they did it was just like baffling. Where you're just like, I want to see Super Mario Brothers on the screen. I can't wait to see this. I want to see one of the main things is I need to see Mario jump up and land on the head of a bad guy and defeat him that way. And like I was like, kind of waiting for that moment to happen. And even like when I watched it recently, when I was watching it again, I was like, does he do that ever at all? Kind of. And no, not really. And like I throughout time, I've gone back and forth on it, where I would kind of like be pretty impressed by the awesome Blade Runner creativity going on in it, where you have like, electric cars and giant explosions and chases. And
yeah, they did this really weird aesthetic where like all the cars like work like bumper cars, where they're like, they're like, all attached to this grid for some fucking reason.
That's
because there's the alternate dimension where dinosaurs didn't die, so they didn't they didn't become fossil fuels, because all fossil fuels are based on the fossils of the previous dinosaurs and whatnot.
Okay, that is a very clever version of world building that I don't think the movie deserves, but that's a really good observation.
However, at the same time, while they saw fit to exclude the use of fossil fuels for all the vehicles getting around, how did any of the other petroleum-based products get manufactured? Like the tires and plastics are everywhere in the world. Like, what did you use for that? Because those are all petroleum-based on our side. So, what the hell, guys?
Maybe they had access to the petroleum left behind by the extinct humans.
Except it was 65 million years ago, and the Homo sapiens didn't exist then. So
I was able to pretend that like there was like an existence of humans that were prehistoric, and then those humans died, and then they anyway.
Yeah, they didn't get that far, did they?
No.
Not even in the Morton cut.
The set design was done by the guy who did Blade Runner, so that's why it does look like that.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yes. So, yeah, I think they got bit by the bug of like what was successful. Kind of like what happened with X-Men. Matrix was successful, so
Well,
if you're
no,
gonna make,
they did not, because like Matrix is 1998. This is 2003. So
no, I gotta finish the sentence there. Hold on a second. I was saying that like with X-Men, they're going by
right.
the success of Matrix. With
True,
Super Mario
true.
Brothers, they're going by the success of Batman. And like, yeah, like the creators were saying that when they're like, "Oh man, we get to make our own Super Mario Brothers." Well, let's make it like Batman. That was successful. So that is also the vector of why we have gone down the rabbit hole of the people from who did Max Headroom doing a Super Mario Brothers movie.
Do you think it's a coincidence that like Bowser looks like Max Headroom with like the like I guess the head what would you call that hairstyle?
Ugh.
Hairdo cornrows. I don't know.
Cyber Trump.
Cyber Trump.
Yeah.
Cyber Trump cornrows, because like I thought it was interesting that like Bowser has the exact same cornrows that Max Headroom was. I wonder if there's like let's do it twice, but we're gonna make it a villainous character.
That
with Dennis Hopper playing the exact same villain he played the entirety of the 90s.
Yeah. Let's see. Dennis Hopper was almost Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman was their first choice, and they turned him down. Yeah.
Oof.
They turned Dustin Hoffman down. They also turned down Tom Hanks for Mario.
Oh my god! What the hell were they? Are you
in that time? Like it was right after Tom Hanks' star was like descending. He did like Joe versus Volcano and some other movie that was like I remember the time people were going, okay, maybe we're done with Tom Hanks.
But then he did Forrest Gump and saw a big resurgence.
Oh, his next movie the same year that Mario Brothers came out was Philadelphia, where he earned an Oscar. So this turned out well for him.
I would have loved to have seen a Tom Hanks Mario.
Me too.
I guess
that
good for him. Oh my god, that America's sweetheart, America's dad, America's best friend, being Mario.
The guy from Big.
Yeah,
that would have been fun as hell. That would have been. I almost feel like that would make the movie even better. But yeah, like, do you guys like how much of the backstory of like this movie do you guys look into?
I know a little bit of it. I've seen some videos. I just know it was a really chaotic, troubled production.
Nightmarish.
I know John Leguizamo and who played Mario? Bob Hoskins.
Bob Hoskins.
Yeah, they would just get like drunk on set all the time.
Regularly drunk.
Such a what was the point where it became like this dystopian nightmare though? That's the one thread I don't have. Like
from the start, strangely enough, like and Nintendo was in on it. And like I said once again, I think it was like everyone was just kind of like in the spell of what happened with Batman. Because Batman did blow the fuck up. Like it hit and Batman went from a joke to suddenly like people who were cool were wearing Batman t-shirts and everybody wanted that kind of smoke. And like when they started it, that's where they were like, we're gonna make it dystopian, dark and gritty. And Nintendo's like, yeah, let's do this. It's gonna be awesome. And then they got the Max Headroom people. And then as they're going into it, they're like, okay, this is too dark, guys. We still want to make some money with kids. And then that's when like the fights began, where directors were like, we have a vision. And then there's a producer's like, please stop going too crazy, to the point where there was a rewrite going on, and the directors were kept from the writers, so they couldn't influence the writers. It was a nightmarish mess, and that usually makes for some of the most fun things to talk about.
Yeah, I read that somewhere that about a few weeks into the production, the agents for the two directors talked to Disney and came back and told the directors, yeah, they're wondering if you can just not show up to set at all. Like,
the cast and crew made T-shirts of the horrible nicknames that they gave the directors and wore them on set. It was just
what were the nicknames?
They never worked again.
Oh yeah, what were the nicknames?
Oh, I know the stuff I was watching, none of the nicknames were given. I think
that's a bummer.
Bob Hoskins called one of them the C word for women, and yeah, they were mad. They were mad as hell. That was a destructive set, and it turned into something that no one ever forgot. So there's something there.
Well, supposedly there's like a cult following of people who I've never seen it. If it's like a so bad it's good movie, or people who ironically love it. I want to see where this cult is, or like someone make like a in-depth hour and a half to YouTube video to like justify it, just to prove that it exists.
Here's some connective tissue to one of our previous episodes. Guess who is a fan of the movie?
Who?
Quentin Tarantino. He had a screening at his private theater, at the theater he owns in Los Angeles, of the movie, and apparently it was packed. John Leguizamo even attended it, and it was just packed, and even Leguizamo was astounded.
Wow.
It was people who actually were
fun.
genuinely enjoying the movie, according to what Leguizamo was saying, that everybody was clapping and laughing along to it, and but not ironically. Like, good lord.
Yeah, like I say, I go back and forth with this because I do remember sitting, like, it was like several years ago that I watched, and I was like, you know what, I kind of like that, because like I'll go to a movie because I do want to be transported someplace else. I want to experience a different world. I want to be, and they built that giant freaking gigantic set, and they got the Mushroom King, and while it was a cool evisceration,
oh my god,
everything I love about. Oh god, yeah.
The Mushroom King is nightmare fuel. Holy,
yes,
it's
unnecessarily just gross.
Propagated throughout the entire city, coating everything, like dropping bomba bombs for everybody to randomly pull them. Why is there not total chaos from all the kids grabbing the bomba bombs off of the fungus network throughout the entire city?
It's just bombs.
Oh my god!
Just for
and at the end, it turns out to be Lance Henriksen. Like, oh no, Bishop, why? Why are you in this movie?
Oh, I wish I written down that note. I think he was just in the area, and like they may have pulled him in, and that's why it was Lance Henriksen. Let's see. So, how do we want to get into like the comparisons? Like,
do you want to talk about the? Yeah. Do you want to talk about the new movie first, or is there anything else? So I think I'm probably going to be the most positive about it because is it a great movie? No, but it just needed to be a competent movie, and I think the fundamental difference between why this is successful and why it isn't is the one wasn't is that it was made by people who fundamentally understood the Mario universe and like a perfect example. How does Mario get his power up and able to jump? Oh, he's got to get this like super boot, which he charges up with laser juice, and that's how he jumps really high. You have to have this convoluted, dumb explanation for like how Mario has his powers. While in the new one, it's just like let's just use the video game logic. That's how this world works. You punch blocks. And you get a power up, and we have a whole training.
Wow, Mario hates eating mushrooms. Yeah.
Character arc.
It just exists. There's no dumb explanation. There's no like Hollywood screenwriter, chomping at cigarettes in front of a typewriter, trying to think like, how do I make this stupid video game shit for real people? Because I'm a real. You need to make it a real movie. Yeah, see.
Of course, you say that now. I kind of want to see a Dalton Trumbo written Mario Brothers movie. Anyway, sorry. Brief aside. Sorry.
I was mad at like how they. So like I was just trying to hide the pain. Harry with like, all right, rocket boots. That's how they jump. That's something like Super Mario Brothers. But the thing that made me most mad is like the shot of how they did it, where the camera would track and like the look on Luigi's face was just like he didn't know the camera was on, and it was like they were just testing because there's this completely emotionless look on his face as he's kind of looking around like, what's happening? And it's just like completely disjointed from like the determination he should have on his face. It just I hate that shot where he just kind of floats through the sky, kind of looking confused, and then lands. And just
that was his vodka day, not his tequila day. They caught him off guard.
Okay, MJ, what do you think of the actual animated Super Mario Brothers movie?
Well, like I said before, I'm not as totally immersed in the Super Mario mythology and games like you guys are, but even I could tell. The new movie was just a big overflowing Easter egg basket of all these references to the '93 movie, the Super Show, previous cartoons, even the anime, all the video games, and all the little ins and outs. I mean, I did enjoy like some of the recreations of the 2D action that they did, and even Princess Peach having that obstacle course of the levels up behind the castle that she used to learn how to, be the badass that she is. It was a good, thoroughly enjoyable movie, but the thing is, I'm so immersed in Illumination Studios movies, like the Despicable Me movies, the Minions movies, the Secret Life of Pets, Sing. It was pretty middle of the road Illumination Studios for me, just because I have been that immersed in everything that studios produced in the last 10 years.
I'm really interested to hash this out to see, like, I guess your kids love Illumination, because I think Illumination has this like really interesting place in the animation industry. If you go to like there's like people like you who watches cartoons with your kids. There's like the snobby like animation YouTuber audience, where it's like we like the highest quality, and we like the really great things of Pixar, and Pixar's fallen off. And Illumination is what I would think is like they're not as intellectually rigorous or as creative as Pixar. Like Pixar at their peak is like peak filmmaking. It's 4-quadrant filmmaking that speaks to people of all different kind of backgrounds and ages, and I think it's the most difficult kind of writing to produce, which is why their films are so good and why their fall from grace as of late is kind of sad and unfortunate. They were the American Studio Ghibli. They were the best. Disney Animation is kind of like come up a little bit. Then there was DreamWorks, which is kind of hit and miss. Occasionally you see things that like Keith, I saw I haven't seen it yet. I need to see it. The Puss in Boots movie that everyone was losing their mind out.
Yes.
That it was like just.
And I agree, that's a great movie.
Yeah, so occasionally you get like the off-kilter, DreamWorks takes chances and you get masterpieces from there. But most of the time, I feel like people associate DreamWorks with like, middle of the road fare, like Shark Tale, or just kind of like mediocre ideas that are stuffed with celebrity voice casts. And then they usually have the terrible music number. Like that's always the sign of like the mid-tier animated movie is when you have the musical number at the end, so the kids can dance. And Illumination is not respected. Like they have none of the animation aficionados. But like I have a weird amount of respect because I feel like Illumination. One, if you look at the budgets, like Pixar, DreamWorks films are like $150 to $200 million per movie. They are not cheap. It is so funny how like CGI animation was supposed to be like, this is the easier, more cheaper way to doing it than hand drawn. But these movies cost like 3 times as much as the animated movies did by the day, and I almost wonder like what is the point? What are you saving anymore? But every Illumination movie only costs like $75 million. So and they have all these like cut around corners and they reuse assets. So one thing I'm like almost dead positive is I think that scene with Mario and the dog, that they reused like some asset or a character model they made for the Secret Life of Pets. Like that whole opening scene felt like they were just using Secret Life of Pet assets for the whole scene in New York and Brooklyn.
Yeah, throw a new skin on it. Why not?
Yeah, that seemed like they wanted to be a little more. They want to do like a little section of Pixar slapstick visual comedy at the start.
Although what I think they should have done is they should have had him fight a cat. So then when he gets the cat power up, people could have been like, Mario's now he's going to use the things that the cat was doing on him against Donkey Kong. Oh, that would have been hilarious. That's a level of creativity you don't get in. So I'm curious, MJ, what do you think is like the best Illumination movies versus the like worst ones? What's your kind of like tier list?
Let's see, best versus the worst. I don't know, because they're all kind of about the same level for me, because they all have their strengths and they all have their specific characters that you really latch onto, like getting Harrison Ford for the second Secret Life of Pets movie. I don't know why, but I identify with that dog so much.
I didn't know he was in the second one.
Yeah, he is. He plays a farm dog named Rooster, and he's just Harrison Ford as a dog. I don't know why it works, but I just identify with it so hard, and it's just
Weird.
I don't get it. But that's pretty much like to your point. That's kind of what Illumination goes for. They are not high tier animation. They don't have screenplays that are going to win Oscars anytime soon. But they managed to come up with these wacky, goofy characters that are just endearing enough. They enjoy them, and your kids just roll around laughing at them, and they're just enjoyable movies. So really, none of them really rise above the rest, and that unfortunately is kind of the same with the Super Mario Brothers movie. The only thing that Super Mario has going for it is that it is a known established IP of the last 40 years, and it has a well-established fan base, and that's why it's on the verge of going well past $1 billion at the box office. And it hasn't even been released all over the world yet, and that's what's really crazy.
Well, I do feel like they pulled out all the stops though, in terms because like I thought it looked better than your typical Illumination movie. I think they cut corners in the beginning, but once they get to the Mushroom Kingdom, it felt like the cleanest, most diverse, most interesting art design I've seen out of an Illumination movie. And they did spend $100 million versus the typical 75 or 60 million they usually spend on their movies. So I feel like this was kind of like a statement that it does have the Illumination things that I despise, like the like one thing that like made me angry and was like, oh, this is exactly what I knew they were going to do. So they put in all the stupid boomer music, needle drop moments.
Yeah.
And it's like there's so much iconic music. Like I remember I even like listened to this track where they like did like the composer did a remake of like the Donkey Kong theme from Donkey Kong Country, and it's freaking amazing. Why wasn't that in the movie? Why didn't you use that? There's so much great music in Mario that you really don't need the boomer needle drops. But then again,
wait, you didn't enjoy the Jack Black Peaches song that's all over on Spotify and iTunes right now?
Well, that wasn't a boomer needle drop. That was an actual original song. So I respect that a lot more than like, no sleep to Brooklyn. And what was the other stupid needle drop that they did?
Was it Take On Me?
Well, they did like a Kill Bill thing, and there was one other.
In defense of Take On Me, that song was number one at the time that the game was originally released. They explained why they included that song.
Interesting.
I don't think it was worth it. There are some scenes where they do like mixed melodies of like classic Nintendo things, and it's like, just why not go into this? The Super Mario Odyssey has this gorgeous orchestral score.
I think you nailed it. It's like to appeal to the boomer parents who are taking them. They're like, who they feel maybe some of them don't know what Super Mario Brothers is. But then, like, oh, there's a song that you like, parents. There you go. Just that one's just for you. I mean, just shoehorned.
To Illumination's credit, like, it's hard to like say that they make bad decisions, since they make $1 billion movies for like next to nothing compared to like Pixar, who's like just struggling so hard right now. And poor DreamWorks that has to put on like a legitimate masterpiece to get noticed, with like the Puss in Boots movie. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for people, even if they do things that I view as mediocre, but that are consistently successful. So, I guess they know better than me. But I guess is like the Mario movie experience. Like I wanted more of those classical things. And also another thing that really annoyed me was when Mario's fighting Donkey Kong, why didn't you just do like a recreation of the Donkey Kong stage? Like how cool would that have been?
Because that's too old for people, and because I was thinking exactly that, because I was like, okay, when's gonna be a part where he grabs the hammer? This is gonna be fucking awesome. This is gonna be awesome. And I think also because Donkey Kong, the main weapon in there is the hammer, and they definitely don't want children picking up hammers and having fun with it around their houses. I think
I think you could have done it. I think they could have.
They wanted that, though.
Oh, that would have been such a good thing to have like achieved if you just had like a whole set piece scene. Instead, you just kind of like have this sort of more generic fight scene. Although, just out of curiosity, what do you think of Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong?
I liked it a lot. I don't have any dislike for him. Like, I think Now the Planet does. when he did his laugh, I was like, oh yeah, I like Seth Rogen. He makes me giggle.
I was actually
then
enjoying
also-
the fact that I couldn't tell it was Seth Rogen until the laugh started leaking out. Like, no, there's the laugh. There's the laugh. No.
And then I like that he's like what is called the Lancer character, where when you have your team of characters, you have like the brains, you have the bronze, and then you have the rival. So it was kind of cool that like in this team of Mario heroes, one of his teammates is actually like a rival. So I kind of liked that they had that kind of mixture going on in them.
It was interesting, although I felt like, well, I don't know. I also have a lot of affection for Donkey Kong because of the Donkey Kong Country games. I grew up playing a lot of those. So, like, I hated the fact that they tried to shoehorn that the Donkey Kong civilization it has go-karts just so they could have an excuse to have that, like, go-karts scene. But, like, overall, though, the movie was very respectful to the material. It felt honest to the spirit of the material. And that's kind of like what won me over, even though I wouldn't call it like a super great animated movie. It was good enough to be an adequate Mario experience.
My take on the movie, the reason why I watched Puss in Boots is to have a better frame of what I felt about the movie. Because so I went to see it with my Padawan. We walked out of it. We were quite excited, and then like the conversation just kind of got tapered off. I was like, some felt like it's like ginormously missing. And also just really quickly, I am one of those snobs that's too good to watch an Illumination movie. I do apologize. Like, I've been like an animation fan for a long time, and like, I always thought that they're like the low rent and like low brow, and I feel like I'm unfair to them even because from the outside, it looks like what they're making is like they're making original IP, like the Minions and the Hateful Me or Despicable Me. Yeah, all that stuff is like I should be given that credit. Like they're making new things, but it's not Pixar.
I don't know the what you call it, the Secret Life of Pets, like beat for beat, like rips off the Toy Story. It's like literally has like the exact same storyline of Toy Story with like
Can confirm.
So you're saying like they don't have some kind of hidden gems that I just haven't made time for. They really are kind of
I don't think.
No, like I said, that they're not going to win Oscars anytime soon.
Okay.
They're just big, dumb, fun kids movies. I mean, and to be honest, and if you guys hadn't suggested Super Mario's as a topic for this episode, I had no plans on seeing the movie in the theater.
Yeah, like I loved the experience of like the Easter egg hunt, the kinetic action, well choreographed. It was beautiful. But it was kind of empty calories, I think, where I thought it was delicious while I was experiencing it, but I'm not going to be buying that Blu-ray. Versus Puss in Boots 2, The Last Wish, that was a masterpiece. That was an emotional ride, taught me lessons. I'll be buying that Blu-ray.
Desperado reunion.
Say what? Say again?
The Desperado reunion. Yeah.
Yes, I even loved that. I watched the first Puss in Boots because I was like, did I miss something? And no, the first Puss in Boots was like fine, and just like freaking out of nowhere, Puss in Boots 2 was like a grand slam, and like they use like like all the newest techniques of animation to just make this like visual just splendor, and
It like the action scenes copying the style from Into the Spider-Verse. I thought that was a great touch.
I finally come around to the Into the Spider-Verse jittery, what I call jittery animation, but I've been watching videos about like why it's jittery.
Slow frame rate or whatever, or just like
fewer frames, and like through it, you do kind of the action's far more beautiful and less rubbery. That is always ugly to me in CGI animation, where you have CGI animation and it just like comes off as rubbery versus the fewer frames, I guess, kind of makes it a little more like rapid fire turning of a comic book page, which It is
A little more
really
glitchy. Yeah.
What's really funny is now we're going through this Into the Spider-Verse renaissance where all these other films are kind of like aping its style. The new Ninja Turtles are trying to. I just find it really funny because, like, I think Into the Spider-Verse is a masterpiece. I will sing its praises from the high heavens. I think it's a really, really great Spider-Man movie. It's a beautiful animated film. Maybe even the best Spider-Man movie. I think you can make a
continues to grow on me.
I think it's genius, but it also has one distinction. It is the lowest grossing Spider-Man movie of all time.
Yeah, I remember watching that the gross it going up like crossing my fingers because it just barely crossed that line of it being a sequel.
Yeah,
so I hope it makes money next time.
I hope so too. I'm looking forward to the second one, but I'm just from a practical standpoint. I just think of like, is it just because like the creatives really love it? Is that why you're all going for it, or is it because like if I was like behind the bean counters, I wouldn't be approving anything from it. It's a failure. Or was the Oscar like enough to like for it to like steal the Oscar, which usually either goes to Disney Animation or Pixar? was that enough street cred for people to like start applying it to other things? I'm not complaining. I'm just like kind of like the practical side of me is like kind of wondering.
I think the practical thing it's doing is that it's making merchandise, and like a lot of my friends' kids are like saying that Miles is now like one of their favorites characters of all time. And there was like this thing with Batman in the '89 version that he unleashed in the toy industry, which was his form was something that you could tweak as many times as you want and make all the money in the world. Like there was like the first base Batman, and there was like this like yellow scuba Batman, and they were blown away by like, oh my god, they're still buying it. And like he this form that you can keep changing and keep making off of all the different forms. And now with Spider-Verse, that unleashes they're hoping and they're trying to make sure that unleashes the only other figure they could probably do that with is like Iron Man.
Well, the one thing
gives them
that's an interesting because that's I guess one complaint I have about the concept of the Spider-Verse. I mean, it makes sense. Spider-Man's been around for like 60 years. He's kind of like a Superman figure, but I always kind of hate the idea of the Spider-Verse just because of to me the appeal of Spider-Man as a character is that he's alone. He doesn't go to his fortress of solitude. He doesn't go to a bat cave. He just goes to his apartment and. That the fact that he's like this ground level hero who's like thrust into bigger moments and to me like the idea that there's 5 bajillion Spider-Men just kind of like ruins that mystique for me.
I can
That's
fully
probably why
understand
it's
that.
going to be limited to just the movies. I'm looking forward to like them bringing in Spider-Man 2099 for the next movie and him being a main character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then all the variants that they did bring in for the first movie was fun as hell. I mean, Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man Noir. Who knew that would be as entertaining as it was?
Yeah, of course, it was fantastic. It's just like I think the execution was enough to like get beyond my like distaste towards the concept, if that makes sense. But no, it's just like a minor little personal quibble of like what I think works best for Spider-Man as a character. But it's interesting.
So you were probably happy when at the
too
end
far.
of
Let's not
No
veer
Way
off too
Home.
far.
Yeah. Just one last thought on that. So you're probably going to be pretty happy with the next MCU Spider-Man with the way they left Peter Parker at the end of No Way Home.
Oh yeah, that was like a return to the status quo where you always should have been. So yeah, obviously, I think that, assumingly Sony doesn't like ruin it with their dumb stuff to try and set up their Spider-Verse, which they probably will. But
Venom? What?
But I guess bringing it back to Mario's also kind of like one of those. And you're right, Keith. It is a movie that has like it's one of those things where it's like sometimes I feel really passionately about a take, but I am perfectly in the center. I really enjoyed it, but I also agree with all the people who lambasted it. It is ultimately empty calories, but it was empty calories filled with things that like I thought I would never get to see. So
yes. Okay, I was loving most. Like while I was watching, I was like, "Oh my god, thank you, Jesus! This is exactly what Kid Keith was asking for. Everything, top to bottom. I'm finally seeing it." And then once it was, I was like, "Oh!" And now I'm kind of done with that. Okay. I mean, they nailed like it so well, so I guess so safely that there wasn't anything extra after it was done. You're just kind of like, I definitely saw myself as Super Mario Brothers movie. Great. That's not a bad thing, but after it's over, like, you know, after Puss in Boots was over, I wasn't thinking I saw a Puss in Boots movie. I was thinking I just saw. I was thankful for seeing a timeless new classic that just
A
like, people will
transformative
be
life
talking about.
experience, right?
Yeah, that was beautiful. That was pushing art and characters in ways no one asked for. And I mean, do I even want that from Mario Brothers? I don't want to be that serious when I'm enjoying my Super Mario Brothers. It's just that, like, yeah, as bad as '93 was, they free kicked that door open of creativity and definitely, like, you know, shook our brains with stuff we've never seen before. Versus
I mean,
this
that's
one
not
gave us everything we've seen before.
Yeah, but it gave everything you've seen before competently, and it was respectful. Versus the other one, which like had contempt for the source material, was like,
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm better than it, so I'm going to give you this dark Tim Burton Looney Tunes horror land of like deformed dinosaurs with small beady, heads, and I'm going to terrify you.
Right.
And
But at least they gave you Yoshi.
well, the new one gave Yoshi, and there was even a teaser scene implying that, oh, Yoshi's going to be in the real world. Oh my god, I can't wait to see that.
What were you guys guessing would be at that what do you call that teaser?
I thought it was going to be Wario. I thought that would have been
Me too.
fun.
I thought it was gonna be silhouetted Wario and the other guy.
Waluigi.
Luigi, yeah. I thought there was gonna be like the dark silhouettes walking from the shadows, and they'd do their signature laughs. Black.
That would be a lot of fun to like play with. Get some like big talent, and also kudos to Black. So here's another thing I'm kind of curious. What did you guys think of Chris Pratt versus Mario? Considering how much his Mario voice, considering how much discourse there was for that.
Perfectly. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought it was perfectly fine. I mean, I'm kind of glad he didn't slap on a god awful fake Brooklyn, borderline New Jersey Italian accent and make us have to suffer through that. I mean, they had a couple of "Mamma Mia's" in slow motion. Like, okay, I think you guys hit your quotient there. Thank you. But I thought it worked pretty well.
I found him perfectly serviceable. He sounded like a hero voice to me. I enjoyed it. It definitely wasn't iconic, and I guess it probably would have gotten annoying to hear the original cartoon or video game one throughout the entire thing.
Yeah,
so I liked it.
Charles Montset, or however you say his name, voice. I think everyone was like shitting on it, but I think Illumination knew the right choice, and I thought he did a decent job. It was Hollywood protagonist Mario versus
there you go.
Because Mario really isn't a character. He's just like this weird mascot who might as well be like, I don't know, who's a Disney character who doesn't talk? Pluto the dog.
He just barks. Yeah.
Like that's what Mario is. Only get rid of those barking with the wahoo, yeah, yippee. He's not a character, and it mostly works because Mario's an experience. But you need to turn him into a character, and Chris Pratt brought that. Although I think the standout was Bowser. Bowser was the only one who kind of like felt like Jack Black took it seriously, and he just didn't want to do a celebrity voice. He actually wanted to like. It sounded like the voice a Mario fan who really cared would do. So I think Jack Black was the MVP.
Indeed, he always makes it fun.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, I roll my eyes at like almost like there's a lot of reviews that go up about like the first thing I say about Mario Brothers is, oh, I don't like Chris Pratt. No, that's out of the way. And then they talk about, I'm like, oh, okay, fine. Like, man, like your video about why people don't like him always comes to my mind because I'm just like, just leave that man alone. He hasn't hurt anybody. He thanked God once, and now he's like a freaking social pariah. Anyway,
well, they did have Charles Martinet in the voice cast, so they could have used him if they really wanted to.
Oh, he did do like a few cameos. Like, wasn't he like he was like the Jumpman guy in the arcade?
Yes, he was.
He was Mario's dad.
Oh wait, who's the Jumpman guy then? Who's that?
Same guy. It was Charles Martinet as well. I mean, Martinet did like 3 or 4 characters. He did
nice
Mario's dad, Mario's uncle, and the guy in the arcade.
There you There was like the perfect compromise of like having him featured, showing you like I think that's what the movie was. It a great movie? No, but it was pleasant enough. It wasn't offensive. It didn't feel like disrespectful because like we're like the interesting thing about like God going back to that movie. The one thing I did enjoy is it did give me a huge amount of 90s nostalgia, but like now we're entering into this new era where it feels like the superhero movie is like I don't think it's completely dead. There's too many movies in development and they've made too much money for it to be dead, but it feels like we're the closest we've been to seeing superhero movies die.
Yes.
And if Guardians underperforms and the Marvels, which will probably underperform, then I feel like we're going to see some major slowdowns and retoolings between that. And it feels like now is the era of the video game adaptation between The Last of Us, which was pretty much universally lauded and beloved, The Last of Us HBO, and now the Mario movie. And plus there were like a few really good animated adaptations, the Castlevania shows.
Movies.
Oh yeah, here's a really
they've been good too.
Oh my, yeah, that's oh god, how can I forget this? So, what did you guys think? Sonic versus Mario. Who is the better movie series so far?
Oh yeah, I saw this video about this, and it did give me thinking because it's interesting that like it's not an easy call. A couple things I want to touch on before I forget. Deep cut in Mario's uncle is that Uncle Tony was mentioned in the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. Just said that, yeah, don't forget Uncle Tony. So that's how he's in there. And now I'm forgetting the other thing. But the two movies versus each other, I almost want to give it to Sonic. Even though, like, it was interesting how like they pointed out how Sonic skipped out on what makes Sonic Sonic. Like, you open up in that world that we do want to see, and then we get like as you're ashamed of it, we go to the real world and care about some guy and his fiance. So I don't know, it's kind of cheaper, but man, like Jim Carrey brings performance. I kind of want to give it to Sonic. What do you guys think?
You're right. It's hard because like if it was just the first one, I'd be more inclined to, I'd say Mario is more tasteful because the first one is like riddled with like, Smurfs, CGI animals with human sidekick-itis. It's not a home run. It's not terrible. It is suitably watchable, and considering how much cringe is like littered with Sonic, I don't know. I have a really complicated relationship with Sonic because I of course I love Mario, but I was a little bit of a contrarian. I was a Sega head, and
Same.
I was like diehard, and like there was no more brutal fandom than like being on like the scrappy upstart,
the losing side,
and what happened to Sega. Oh my god, like
and then seeing Sonic show up on a Nintendo console.
Oh my god, yeah, it was
Final
like,
defeat.
oh my god, it was so humiliating. Like it was just like
Dude, we went wild. We went wild when that first Sonic game, and like for some reason we left the controller sit for a period of time, and Sonic crossed his arms, started tapping his foot. We're like, oh. So maybe that's part of my bias that I'm choosing Sonic.
Well,
I didn't notice.
Here's like my short story. Like, I had a Saturn, I had a Dreamcast. I was all in the Dreamcast. It was so depressing when Sega said we're not making video game consoles anymore. It didn't sell up. We lost $100 bajillion on Shenmue, and we were trying to do online. We were trying to do all this like boundary pushing thing, but then like, oh, Sony. I still don't have an own Sony because I have like this vindictive, instinctual grudge against them because every time like Sega would have a press release, Sony would release like a tech demo for the PS2. Oh, here's Tekken Tag. Oh, here's a duck demo with water.
I share you're crazy, dude. I'm not even kidding. The last Sony console I had was PS2.
I just had this enmity towards them because they and then not only was Sega like beaten, bruised, destroyed, humiliated. It was like, oh, they're going to become a third party. They're going to dominate. But no, they never did. Sonic lost all of his mojo. There was just like one middling sequel after another. All the Sega franchises deteriorated into nothing. The brand is like this rotting corpse that never like even was able to like become like a third party on the level of Capcom. Sonic is just this weird embarrassment of cringe that is founded by weird, children on the internet making disturbing erotic fan art that latch onto it because I guess it's more anime than Mario, so that gives them the impression it's more mature.
Is it as cringe as the original Sonic design for the live-action movie?
Well, I'll talk.
Because that's peak cringe.
I almost feel that's like such a beautiful turning point of like, so all right, we're finally getting Sonic. Oh Jesus Christ, what are you guys doing? And then like finally like we get like a real Sonic that looks like Sonic, and like how someone was thinking like one of the good things about the new Mario movies is like everything looks like Mario Brothers. This looks like straight off the cover of Nintendo Power versus like maybe 10 years previous this. Someone would just had to put their own like artistic spin on it. Just make sure it appeals to everybody. We don't have to make it look too like Nintendo.
I do feel that
from like this new Sonic to this Mario, we get it looking like it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, I feel like that was like a turning point, though. I feel like that was a pivotal shift where like studio embraced what the fans want. That movie would have been dead on arrival if it had the original design, but instead it became staying true to the classic tenet of what Sonic should look like made people appreciate it more. And then I legitimately thought the second movie, while not a great movie, was charmed the pants off me. I really loved Idris Elba's Knuckles. I enjoyed Tails. I enjoyed seeing the egg ship. And it even tugged to my heartstring a little bit where they did a nice callback to the baseball scene of the first movie. And now Knuckles and Tails, and they're all playing and hanging out. I was like, oh, this is charming. I would love the shit out of this if I was, 10. This would be my jam. So I guess Sonic just by a little bit of a margin, although I do think that Mario is more respectful, at least the first movie is more respectful than the original Sonic was. But it was interesting to see that then the Sonic was taught its hard lesson, and now it's starting to become its own franchise. But it seems like Illumination, now that Mario is going to make $1 billion, Nintendo could give them the keys to the kingdom to do a Star Fox movie, do a Zelda movie, do a Metroid movie, and then the holy grail of it's not impossible.
Smash Brothers Avengers movie. Do it. Although I have a weird love for Legend of Zelda and how I don't want them to do it because I like my Zelda. I like Link being voiceless. And I just like the beautiful distance of Legend of Zelda. I know they can't help themselves; it must happen. So I'm bracing myself to seeing I love that cartoon so much, but it's having Link talk.
It's interesting because I think Zelda's the one that is the one thing that Nintendo's the most protective of. They don't fuck around with Zelda, and that's the reason why the brand is so beloved, why it's so relevant, why each game is such an epoch-defining event. Because I almost feel yeah, sure, Mario, he could go play golf, he can play these sports spin-offs. They don't have to be the best. Kids will have fun. Some of them are great, some of them are okay. They don't fuck around with the main title Mario, but they do not mess with Zelda. They don't dilute the Link brand by having Link, Zelda shopping simulator. Oh, Zelda Minecraft. Oh,
Zelda soccer.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm curious to see if they'll give that away, but. Yeah, I can only imagine how much people would like lose their shit at a Smash Brothers movie, as much as the critics would. It makes so much sense, and it feels like Mario's like the kicking off of like people finally understanding that like, oh, video game stories are stupid, blah blah blah, stupid. It's like this iconography works for a reason, and if you're respectful to it, it does have narrative weight, and you can build stories about it. So people are like, oh, just like watching someone play a video game. But like,
So I wonder because like I think I wanted to also touch on maybe what I was thinking on before is like the why superhero movies were successful for so long and why DC's movies aren't, which is Marvel has not been making superhero movies. They've been making genre pictures and superhero drag. So
that is true.
When they've been making Indiana Jones movies with Captain America. Then also in a time when spy movies were really hot, they made a super spy movie with Captain America. They made space opera. They've made all these other genres. And then when they started going towards making them Marvel superhero movies, all of a sudden then people are getting less and less interested. And then like that was always weakness of DC, where if you're making a Superman movie, you're making a Superman movie. You're not making a science fiction movie. If you're making a Batman movie, Justice League, you're making superhero stuff. And then that doesn't work. Versus Aquaman, instead, they did make it a adventure aqua sci-fi extravaganza that did work. Well, then like the problem I'm thinking really quickly here is like with Super Mario Brothers. So how long can this go? Because like after it came out, like everyone still feels like, oh man, I love it. I'm not talking about it anymore. And like, how many times can you do that? And like, how much can this grow? Like, will the second one be big if all they're doing is just making a Mario Brothers video game movie?
Well, if they're smart, they'll actually develop a story that's not just loosely copped from the '93 movie.
But like, given all the money in the world and all those rewards, have they been given the reason to start thinking about that? Of like, maybe we should do a story next time, or should we just stay what's safe and do the super safe direct translation again?
I think what they'll do is I think they'll play a little bit more with the iconography. They tested the waters and they saw that like you can take the video game stuff and make it palatable. So hopefully maybe they'll be a little bit bolder, or they they'll just do like a Despicable Me and like just have like someone a fun stunt casted as Wario and that will be enough to like play off of and can you imagine Mario's being chased by Wario in Luigi's Mansion.
Because I was just thinking remix and hope everybody comes back for it.
I was just thinking like, what is the next escalation? Because instead of doing like a first movie where the main bad guy was one of the mini bosses, we went straight to Bowser and took down Bowser. When it comes to Super Mario Brothers Mythos, is there a guy above Bowser?
Not well. There's a lot of stuff you can draw upon. There's villains from like the RPG games you can do. There's villains from Luigi's Mansion you can draw upon. There's Wario. There's Luigi or Waluigi.
I do think Wario's got to be the next.
Wario's what makes sense to me. Or you could do the Koopalings and have all the Koopa kids.
I was thinking that they might go the DC route of just let's get as much money as possible. The next teaser has Mario, going through some pipes, and then he hears, "You didn't think you were the only video game hero," and he turns around. Link is behind him with his arms crossed. Now, go straight into building that Nintendo world versus the Mario world.
Now, I don't think they're that stupid. One, they're in a position of success, so they're not desperate. I think that there are enough people who understand this world to like know that's stupid. And I like to feel like that. Hopefully, Nintendo has enough power that they would like veto an idea like that. And I think they just like we earned the keys to this Nintendo kingdom. This is stuff people that has like people have like deep Pavlovian bonds to this shit, and we could let's start milking it. What I want to see is if this video game arms race does kick up, will Disney has like the ultimate counter in their back staple? Will they pull out the Kingdom Hearts?
Oh God.
Ooh.
I would not put it past them unless
I don't
Bob
see why
Iger, unless Bob
not.
Iger is really having a bad day and he has no interest. But
Kingdom Hearts, damn, dude.
Why not?
but I'm sorry, I just got.
I was thinking like.
Sorry, go
Say
ahead.
again.
I was just about to say. Now you've planted the scene in my head. Now I've got the scene in my head of Mario and Link kind of battling through bad guys, and then they get done battling the bad guys, and then they go to chill out in like Peach's castle, and there's Star Fox in that room going, "I'm here to talk to you guys about the Smash Brothers initiative," like Nick Fury at the end of Iron Man or some shit.
The third,
I hate
third
my
movie,
brain sometimes.
I'm having some fun. The second one is Mario does fantasy epic with Link. The third one is Link, Mario, and Star Fox do space opera.
No,
Yes,
I think you like
I know they won't, but
the playbook is that's what you do when you're desperate. The playbook, if you're doing it right, is you did really well. You get a Mario sequel starting right now. Start kicking ideas. You ask for Nintendo. Can we make a F-Zero movie? Can we make a Star Fox movie? Can we make a Legend of Zelda movie? You get those three movies out and successful. They do gangbusters. Then you build the Smash Brothers.
Okay. Here's what I think is gonna happen next. You have to the second movie is Empire Strikes Back. They always do Empire Strikes Back next movie. So Wario defeats Team Wario defeats Team Mario, and the third movie is a team up with Mario fighting alongside Bowser to defeat Wario.
I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think I think it's all going to be self-contained. But you're right, though. I think your instinct is spot on. He fights Wario, and then the third movie they team up with Bowser to fight something else.
Team up. The team could start in the second one because I like my bad guys as bad guys. Please keep my bad guys bad, but Hollywood just can't ever do that. So look forward to King Koopa becoming one of the other good guys.
The thing is, there's history for that. And Super Mario RPG, Koopa joins Mario's party, and they've done it more than a few times with Bowser teaming up with Mario. So it's not like it's that outside of the realm of the canon. Yeah, not just Hollywood. Nintendo did it themselves.
It's coming. But like that is a thing that people pointed out that was just really good about Puss in Boots 2. There's a bad guy in there who's just a piece of shit. That's all he is, beginning to end. He does not get an arc. There's no good backstory of why he's so evil. He just is evil, and he's like he becomes the final boss. And it was so freaking satisfying to finally see that again in the movie.
Yeah, we Disney really got like infatuated with like the sympathetic villains, which is I think of like when can we have like the iconic Disney villains? And one thing I despise is the twist villain, because like I don't think there's a twist villain who you can reveal in minutes that's going to be worth all the lost screen time of buildup. I think it's a trend that needs to die, and I would like to see an iconic Disney villain on par with the Disney Renaissance era come back again.
Yeah, Maleficent, when she first hit, like, she's one of my favorite bad guys of anything ever. She's just evil, and it's just beautiful to see that, and to have good guys have something just monstrous to stand against is fun. Like, yeah, just bring that back. It's not a bad thing to have.
So basically, you like to see villains that have already broken bad, not watching them break bad.
Let's see. Also, the '93 movie was the first. Is the birth of the modern special effects industry. Apparently,
How?
I was watching Corridor Crew. And like they're going over the special effects, and they're like, "Guess how this was done?" They used a little program called this, and they like all gasped because like all like the first iterations of like how to do digital special effects. Like apparently before this movie, you could only go through ILM, and they behind their closed doors they use their secret technology to do what they do. And then for Super Mario Brothers, there was another company, I think it was Kodak, they're making new technology, saying, "Hey, do you want to use this?" And like it's like the start of like the programs and technology that the entire industry ended up using afterward. So
Interesting.
Super Mario Brothers was the beginning of the world of special effects.
Why? Because of all the CGI it had?
Because of like the programs that were like created for it, not for it, at around the same time that they were the first to use. Like something about how before this, to get some digital effects, ILM was the only people who knew how to do it. And then here, a new technique was made so that they were able to get their entire movie into a computer and then make effects in there. And it was like the first time it was done.
Interesting.
So
I might
they are the beginning of the new world.
This is such an inauspicious.
Which is odd looking at the special effects from the 93 Mario Brothers movie versus Jurassic Park, which came out that same year. It's like night and day quality-wise.
Jurassic Park probably done by ILM, though?
Yeah, Jurassic Park was ILM.
This was like, besides the, like, it's like this, like finally, it's not just ILM able to do this. Now it's being to be everybody's getting access to this technology, and it started with Super Mario Brothers. Let's see, where else do we need to go, or should we go in this conversation to cover our feelings about these two strange movies?
So Keith, was there any?
Oh, here you go. What was your good? You first.
I was going to say, is there any part of you that like defends it, or you still like think even the director's cut is terrible and it's mostly kind of a terrible movie, but you're just affectionate towards it because it, you like creative things even when creative things fail.
I like the 93 movie for its sheer audacity. I mean, that's the biggest thing you can really take away from it. I mean, looking at the source material that they pull it from and turn it into that, like, man, y'all got balls.
Yeah.
And then the studio actually releasing it, it's like, wow, you guys were, all of you were drunk.
I'll say, like, my Padawan, he's like 18, and he saw the 93 movie for the first time, and his take was, I have to say it was kind of good. He actually kind of liked it.
What?
Yeah, I think that the balls, the activity that it ends up doing, because like we have like a lifetime of trauma from it, where we first see it and like, yeah, I'd love to see a Mario Bros. Oh my god! And they do this instead, and like it just lives with you how much it had disdain for the source material. But I guess like maybe if you don't have that lifetime of trauma and you're just looking at a movie, now you're looking at Cyberpunk Super Mario Brothers.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah. Like from a younger perspective, it might, because like, we're still living in the golden era of geekery where all this, shit that was like, kind of like tossed off to the side is still like the dominant force in pop culture, more so than it ever was
and
before.
And that we get what we want now. So that's the thing. I definitely do not want ever them to be knocked. I think like how much I got exempted from this new Mario Brothers movie just kind of makes it more forgettable. Like it shouldn't be a bad thing, but man, it's like, yes, that was exactly what I wanted. Thank you. And then that's it. Versus,
I guess our animosity,
them trying to do anything crazy,
animosity that we have towards these and the other like shittier video game movies is it feels like someone or like the Halo TV show. It feels like someone who thinks that they're better than it, telling you like you're wrong. This is what the good version would be, which considering you're not in a seat of creative power, just like is very off-putting.
Voidcat in another podcast, she felt sympathy for your plight with what happened to Halo, and she let us know that. Did you know that the reason why it's so messed up is that it wasn't a Halo movie or show? Like someone was shopping around a different sci-fi show they wanted to make. And like the studio's like, no, we won't make it. We'll make it if you call it Halo, though.
Well, that would explain a lot about that terrible show, because it did feel like it was someone's like terrible YA novel or like expanse sci-fi TV show just jammed together with Halo iconography.
Yeah, like what? Like, why is there a character named Quan at all? Where's these orbitals? Why is there a spy in the aliens cabal? What's going on? And it's because it's someone dressed up a different show with Halo.
That makes complete sense. Just that's definitely
Yes.
what it felt like the whole time.
Because it definitely feels like, why are you doing this? Oh,
Instead, we'll
'cause you
just
weren't
pacify
here.
ourselves putting on old episodes of Red versus Blue instead.
Well, here's a big question I'm kind of curious to ask you. So now that potentially this new age is dawning, is there a video game either of you have that you would like love to see turned into a movie?
I was thinking that, like, well, how people wanted to see like a Metroid movie, and I'm like, nah, actually, for me, like, I'm not dying to see that as a movie. MJ, do you have one? Because I need some. I got a couple moments to think. Like, what do I want
Let's see.
to see?
I don't know. I mean, like I say, most of my video game knowledge is by osmosis through most of my friends. I'm trying to think of one too. There's one that a couple of my buddies play daily. Shoot, I'm forgetting the name of it.
And also, like, it's that feeling I always have when it comes to adaptations. Like, I liked it how it was. I don't need a live action version of my favorite anime. And like, I have a movie version of my favorite video game. Don't mess with my video game. But like, I guess if I were to try to push that, maybe Mass Effect.
Oh God, yeah, good pick, really good pick. I 100% agree with you. Yeah, Mass Effect would be amazing. I'm trying to think.
I get the feeling a Destiny movie would probably make some killing right about now too.
I would just be curious how they like translate all the weird iconography and all the weird like terms that are like kind of like hard to compute. But I think you're right. I think Destiny's such a weird franchise, and that like
yes,
it is. Like, I'm surprised, Keith, you are not like a diehard Destiny fan, because like it's basically all like this weird amalgamation of all the things you love. It's power.
I'm hearing that. I'm like, so like I like the Act Man did a good review on it, and like the way he described it was my problem trying to get into it. Like, well, like, you step up to the plate, and there's just all this bizarre stuff happening. Like when someone says Destiny to me, all I see is a cacophony of like all these different suits that don't match together, and like lasers and just it blinking rapidly. And then when I tried to play it, like, I need a slower, more solid feeling of stepping into a world versus I'm seeing like lots of NPCs like darting about with like names above their heads and in a lobby. I'm just like, what's going on here? Like, to make that into a movie, I don't even know.
Keith, have you seen? Did you see the Warcraft movie?
Yes, and I loved it. I'm so sorry. I loved that.
Don't
movie.
apologize. I'm there with you. I actually appreciate it too.
I'm half and half. For the Warcraft movie, I thought like all the orc stuff was really, really good. That was the heart of the movie. But all the human stuff was like the most painful, terrible, straight to sci-fi stuff. So I didn't love it. I loved half of it. but I.
It surprised me. It exceeded my expectations. I expected it to suck, but
there's like this one edit I'll never forget. Like in a Preston movie, I've never seen. There's like, I can barely remember, but like some wizard was thrown across the room, and then in the next shot, like he's like just someplace else. Like, it was a complete mistake of editing that will bother me for the rest of my life. But yeah, I'd love the high budget sci-fi channel fantasy. And like they made all the money, so I was like, please keep doing this, and like it just got left alone forever.
I think it did okay, but it didn't do enough to like, let's greenlight a sequel, let's get this into development. But I was impressed with how he handled all the orc stuff. Like, I thought they were the most emotive, they were the most interesting. I loved how they took the overly over the top burly characters. But then again, I'm a Horde player for all my life, and Warcraft 3 is one of my favorite games of all time. So to see that stuff was like really fun. I just hated all the terrible acting from all the humans who just gave these like weird sci-fi channel performances.
So it made almost $500 million, but in America it only made $47 million.
Yeah. Oh,
that's weird. Like it made $391 million internationally, and then $47 million domestically. Like that is a weird disparity.
Yeah, I think that's a big reason why no one was like rushing to make a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
That was a coup that they got the director of Moon to do that.
Oh yeah.
Of course, you know who the director is, Duncan Jones. He's
Yes.
David Bowie's son.
Yeah.
Don't know that.
You didn't know that?
Yeah.
No, that's reframing of how I see him. That's wow. Okay. Duncan Jones is David Bowie's son. You just said that.
Correct. Yeah, because
Right.
David Bowie's birth name is David Jones.
Huh. Cool. Interesting.
And he originally, brief little factoid there. Bowie, when he originally went into the music industry, he was going to go in as David Jones, but at the time the Monkees were hitting, and one of their band members' names was Davy Jones, so he didn't want to be confused with a member of the Monkees. So he changed his stage name to Bowie.
Well, so the movie I would love to, the video game movie I would love to see is Metal Gear Solid.
Oh yes. Yes, that is the best. That is the best idea. That because I'm pretty sure, like, while the trend of spy movies has passed, I don't think anyone ever gets tired of ninjas and super spies.
Yeah, there's just so many disparate.
They've been trying to develop that for years.
For a long time. I think the guy who did Kong versus Skull Island is currently like developing the Metal Gear Solid movies. I assume that's going to get fast tracked. I hope they don't fuck it up because it's so easy. It is such a weird mix, but it just works so well. I love the highfalutin, high concept shit. Oh my god! If they could do like a Metal Gear Solid 2 movie with like the Patriots and the AI. Like, have either of you ever played Metal Gear Solid 2?
No. All
right. I gotta get this scene towards the end of the game. There's this disturbingly prescient moment which will it will shake you to your core. It's hard to explain the plot because it's all over the place. But basically, the core theme of Sons of Liberty is how do you maintain freedom and liberty in the digital age. And so there's this scene where the main character is talking to these hyper advanced AIs, and they're basically talking about in this new age that is coming, the digital age. What is true? What is not true? How do you push humanity forward when it's just an endless sea of slush? And this is all before the social media era. Just talking about the new digital era and the idea of memes and information passing down and having it the digital legacy, and it's just the fact that this was all in 2001 about how do you
that's ready for
oh my
now.
god, that just the whole movie based around that. I mean, I would love to see a first movie taking the Shadow Moses, the classic action adventure story of the first Metal Gear that everyone loves, while incorporating all the crazy elements. But then if someone could do a version of the second movie that addresses the social media era and how do you preserve how do you stop the debris of information when everyone is right and no one is right. It was one of the most prescient futurist things I have ever fucking seen, and it just becomes more and more relevant as time goes on, and it's oh god, please for the love of God, turn that into a movie.
Well, there is an IMDb page for Metal Gear Solid, and they have Oscar Isaac attached as Solid Snake. So who knows? It might happen.
We'll see. I hope they don't fuck it up. But
I think that that is the equation, the proper rising star name with a property, and now Super Mario is making all the money. That's I think that could happen now. All right, here's a question, guys. So what is your favorite thing from '93 and your favorite thing from the animated version? I think that'll take some time to think about, and I'll put myself on the spot first so that you guys can think about it because I'm having a little trouble thinking myself. But all right, go if you got something.
I got something. I like the fact that Mario is a player, ladies' man. He's got this hot Brooklyn Goyle and he romances the big heavy set woman and wins her to his side. So I kind of enjoyed that. It felt like Luigi was kind of more the protagonist than Mario. So I enjoyed the idea of Mario being kind of a player and having this Tony Soprano charisma, Riz as the kids call it.
Cool. And do you have a favorite from the animated one?
Whew.
I'll give you time to think. My favorite from the 93 is I like the cyberpunk designs. Like, so when I was watching it, I was like, all right, I understand. We have to do this. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense. And then, like, they just freaking hit the turbo charge on nothing has to make any sense, and now it doesn't look anything like Mario. But, like, when it comes to the designs of, like, rocket boots and having, like, flamethrower guns and stuff, and, like, the final costumes they were wearing, I did end up kind of liking those looks. I would cosplay as that, and I looked up the action figures for it, and now they cost all of the money. So I'll say I love the world design on its own, not as like what should be done with Mario, but like if you're gonna be jumping around, rocket boots, if you're gonna shoot fireballs, flamethrower guns, I kind of loved seeing those. MJ, what was your favorite thing about the 93 version?
Like I said before, just the audacity they took with the source material. I mean, it was a trip. I mean, I never would have looked at that video game and thought, I'm gonna make a dystopian future that's in an alternate dimension and just have all the Goombas with itty bitty heads on, huge hulking authoritarian bodies, and just so weird. And getting Dennis Hopper to be Dennis Hopper for the entire movie. And okay,
like,
all right.
Why would they call those things Goombas? Like, when they did they even look at a picture of what a Goomba looks like? Fuck those people. So yeah, sometimes like you get a little mad with how creative they got with things. Isaac, you got the favorite for the
I do now.
animated one?
Bowser. Everything with Bowser. I thought Jack Black knocked it out of the park. He had a really good mix of being comedic but also being frightening where he needed to be. And he didn't just do a Jack Black voice, which I was very impressed with. He actually tried to do like a monstrous voice. So I thought that was like the best performance out of the entire movie. And I even liked the Peaches song. I enjoyed Simp Bowser and the fact that he used the wedding gown from Mario Odyssey. So I think Jack Black was the scene stealer, the magnum opus, and obviously the person who went above and beyond. So I thought he was absolutely perfect and an example of like someone who understood how much of a colossal responsibility versus fucking Seth Rogen, who just does the Seth Rogen voice all the time. God, I'm such good. Part of me, like, why I hate Seth Rogen is because he feels like a class traitor, like this guy who made all these edgy comedies and like grew up with that in the Apatow crowd. Now he's like, wants to be more progressive, and he's just like the most obnoxious guy. Like, did you ever hear about that Twitter exchange he had with whatchamacallit? It was Casey Neistat who talked about how he like got his like car broken into in LA, and then Seth Rogen was like, "No, getting car broken into is cool. Sometimes they even leave you a gift. I got a knife once."
Oh my god!
It was kind of like that.
I don't know anything about his like. I know nothing about extra antics. All I know of him is movie personality. That's all I know of him.
He just plays this. I mean, sometimes he's really well good. Like an example of like a good Seth voice acting performance is I really loved him in Invincible as Alan the Alien.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That fit perfectly, the kind of like aw shucks nature. But like, I don't know, I wanted something for Donkey Kong, just a little bit more than like, oh, I'm Seth Rogen. But Jack Black was hands down my favorite thing. And about
MJ, what was your favorite thing? Oh, sorry. Go ahead if you got more.
No, go on, MJ. That was the end of my thought.
I just liked how they seemed to seamlessly throw the melting pot of all the influences and references they had in there to actually being somewhat coherent and not just, hey, here's the thing from one of the things that you saw from 20 years ago that just happened to be Mario branded. It actually flowed together fairly well. I mean, I'll give the screenwriters that much for everything they threw into it.
All right, and for me, I will give them a lot of credit for their action direction. Also, a shout out to if anyone out there is who used to listen to HJU Radio, a lot of Tokusatsu fans and Kamen Rider fans noticed that the kick that they did at the end was this kick, the double rider kick.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, like when Mario and Luigi are back to back doing a drop kick, as you can see in the chat, that was straight up the double rider kick. Like, that is kind of almost unmistakable on what they're doing, and had like if it was a coincidence, then cool. But usually, like if you're like a Toku fan, that's how you make it look, and that's how they made it look. So that was awesome. Um, Loved the Mario Kart race. That was a lot of fun. That was beautiful to watch. I can't. I'm glad I saw that on the big screen because like the experience of that is you won't be getting that on like I don't care how big your TV is. Yeah. I think I love the action direction straight from like the beginning where before they got into the Mario world and they're jumping through the world of Brooklyn as if it was a side scroller. I had fun with that.
That was
I love
cool.
seeing him move through tubes. All the action fighting, I thought that was all that was really well done. All right, yeah. Anything else we should be touching on?
Feels like that kind of covers it. Unless anyone has any other crazy future predictions about, the future of video game movies.
Let's see, get through my notes. No, I think that's it. I think that's all I got. Other than that, I think that was Alan Silvestri score that they had in the '93 version. He's one of the greatest composers of all time, and it's funny when like his beautiful score is over a trash movie. Because he did this and was it Mac and Me? I don't know.
He did Mac and Me too.
Yes, it's amazing because like Mac and Me starts off looking just stupid and really bad, and then all this beautiful music starts playing. You're like, what the hell is going on here?
I thought there was a dissonance between Silvestri's score and the '93 Mario movie. It was like he was scoring a different movie entirely. But then you look into the back, then to some of the production notes for the movie. Originally, they wanted the band Sonic Youth to score the '93 Mario movie. That would have made more
sense.
Would have been super weird, just have an entirely feedback-drenched score to that movie. And basically, the textbook of how to make a movie completely commercially unviable.
True. But I was thinking how much, instead of like the kind of like orchestral music, how much their cyberpunk aesthetic would have benefited from something a little more rock metal. Like the music was definitely didn't quite match, but part now the fun charm of it, I guess.
Which is weird because Silvestri did the score to the first Predator movie, which is one of my favorite scores of all time. It's like that Silvestri can score a weird dystopian movie like that. It's like, why didn't you fear a little more? Towards like you could have included some of the themes from the actual video game and made it like darker, just something. Instead, it was like he was scoring the Hook movie or something.
True. One Easter egg that I've not seen anyone point out was that in Mario and Luigi's bedroom was a poster from the Nintendo Classic Pro Wrestling. They had the Swamp Thing version, Fishman from Pro Wrestling, facing off with, I think it was Star. And do you guys play pro wrestling as a kid?
I did not.
Not that. Yeah, we played the Punch Out. Yeah, but not pro wrestling.
Pro wrestling. Yeah, that was like a mainstay for a couple of like weeks in a great summer. So I was really happy to see pro wrestling get a shout out in the movie. So, all right. Is there anything else we should touch upon, or should we say final thoughts?
I don't have anything else.
All right, Isaac, your final feelings, thoughts, and words on these two movies, the Super Mario Brothers movies.
I think the Mario movie is still 90s cringe. It is an interesting relic of its time. It shows how far video game culture and nerd culture has come. It is an incredibly unpleasant, tonally distant movie where the set design and aesthetic feels like it's for something completely different, while the rest of it plays like a family movie. It is interesting because of that. Something like this was made by a Hollywood studio. I'm glad I got to revisit it. Definitely connected to the 90s kid aesthetic that it beats at my heart. But it's still a terrible movie. The new
In a Disney movie.
yeah, the new one was not a stupendous movie, but it did what it needed to do. So the person who has an affection towards Mario and enjoys the Mario games, I enjoyed it. I never thought it. I just wish I was younger when it came out. But good on for all the little kids who love Mario and are going to go to Super Nintendo World and Universal Studios. And it's nice to see. I just wish Nintendo wasn't such an archaic company that always seems to punish its fans in the most draconian ways. But if they ever get out their head out of their ass, they could be the next Disney World.
All right, MJ, your final thoughts.
Do they really want to be the next Disney World? Then they'd be pissing off Ron DeSantis. Sorry. Anyway. Yeah, I enjoyed the 93 movie way more than I thought it would. I've heard for decades now that how awful it is and how it set back video game adaptations for evermore, and how ashamed of, and how it showed how Hollywood is so ashamed of even adapting something from that medium. And I enjoyed it for what it was. It was a big, bad, stupid 90s movie. It's almost got me to the point where I want to go back and finally see Street Fighter. So I've never seen the Raul Julia Street Fighter, unfortunately. And revisit Wing Commander, which is a movie I did see in the theater.
Same.
Just, give those old 90s video game adaptations another shot and see how they've aged and if they're just as campy and cult classic-esque as this movie was for me. And yeah, the new one, yeah, I'm pretty sure my kids will enjoy it. It was just a good, fun, you don't have to think about it too hard, family animated movie, and it's making bank off of that, and who knows how many freaking sequels are going to get off of it now.
All right. I guess my final thoughts are, how much these are kind of like too perfect movies to show the path of geekness, where how in the 90s, or it wasn't even the 80s, like if you did an adaptation, how just aggressively wrong you can get it, all the way to getting it so perfectly right that I almost don't feel anything from it. Like I don't want to be that mean to it, but like they got it so safely perfect that I'm like, all right, that was a good Mario movie. And then they got it so horrible that like it is kind of like is artistic merits, whatever, or their attempts, artistic attempts last through time. So I'm glad that things have progressed as they have. I'm glad we have the two that now can kind of be compared against each other just to see how different times can be. And yeah, overall, I'd say it's a good, fun experience. But if you want some really good movie, you want to watch Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
It was funny that you went for that. Yeah. I think you would have been far kinder if you hadn't seen that.
I had to. There's like this tickle of my mind after Mario, where like, what am I missing? What am I missing? And Puss in Boots was like top of my list, and of like showing me like, okay, this is what was missing, like true artistic heart versus a perfect product. It was a perfect product. The Mario Brother movie. All right. So, MJ, where can you find more of you on the internet?
I am on all the socials as MJ3342, and that's EMJAY for
all
MJ.
Right. And Isaac, where can you find more of you and your work on the internet?
You can find me at Lobster Magnet Review. Check out my YouTube channel.
All right, you can find
and also TikTok, Lobster Magnet on TikTok. I'm posting stuff there now too as well.
All right, you can find me at Keith Justice on Instagram, at Keith Hayward on Twitter. You can find this podcast and more on popgeeks.com. Also, please look us up and subscribe to us on YouTube, Couch Command Unlimited, where we have Couch Command and also the Star Trek podcast that I'm on called There Are Four Hosts. thank everyone for listening, and we will see you next time. And we are out of here. Geek out.
Right time, get down, use your mind.